So these are all reasons to possibly sell right now. So what are the reasons to buy right now? Well, Obama money. But I think right now, the thing that people are hearing the most, especially on the financial networks, is the fact of potentially higher interest rates. So what you can do is show them the difference between payments at 6% versus payments at 7%, and that's quite an eye opener for a lot of people. Another reason to start looking right now is a lot of people are starting to think about putting spring inventory on. More inventory potentially spells more choices and possibly lower prices, plus the Obama money. On top of that, if you get to their motivation, and if their motivation is they're going from renter to owner, especially right now, you can show them that actual ownership could cost less than renting, especially after taxes. So when you're looking at buying something, and you look at first of all, you look at the deductions, and you've got the write-offs on the interest portion and on property taxes. But on top of that, you've got the potential for appreciation, making the case that potentially you're buying very close to the bottom. And if they say, well, I want to buy at the bottom, you refer back to what stockbrokers say, and that is nobody ever hits the bottom. And what's important is getting close to the bottom and taking advantage of the property right now. And those advantages are after-tax gains and the potential for appreciation in the years to come. Can we get lower prices in the future? I would start with the answer to that being no. And if they wanted more explanation than that, we can go over what I just said. But I would answer that with a very curt no. I'm personally looking to buy things. I believe that you will never see a combination of these low prices and interest rates again, and I truly believe that. Okay, good objections, guys. What next? And by the way, when somebody says, will prices get lower? To buy in this market, you have to have a certain amount of motivation, guys. And I got to ask you, some guy that's trying to reach the absolute low bottom of a market that's already been dropping for 2.5, close to 3 years, I'd have to question his motivation. Remember, taking your time away from seller lead generation and working with a buyer, I sure hope that buyer is massively motivated, saying things like, I've got to buy a property. My accountant tells me I have to buy a property. I have to buy a property. Prices have never been lower. I really want to take advantage of these interest rates. My wife's going to kill me if we don't move out of our current house. I hate my neighborhood. I mean, these are all motivated buyers, guys, and I hope in this market you're not working with a buyer who's a bottom feeder. Investors and bottom feeders are going to put you guys out of the business. Now there's exceptions, obviously, but as a main rule, man, that's a bad move. All right, good. Give me some more objections, guys.
And a seller question.
Okay, good. Sellers. I love sellers.
So they've had their property listed, and it's down to this. They say, okay, Mr. Realtor, we've priced the house at your recommended price. We've reduced the house 3 times. After looking at the comps, we're underpriced according to the market by $10,000. You brought a stager in, and our house is neutral and shows like it should show, and still no one is looking or writing off. Or what do we do now?
So what is the problem? Let me ask you the question.
They're gonna grab the agent.
Say it again. So what is the problem?
They got a weenie head agent.
Okay, what's the negative about the property?
Well, the negative is it isn't getting showing.
No. What's the negative about the property? Busy street, bad floor plan, not enough bathrooms. What is it?
It's looking like it's pretty good compared to the rest of the market. It should be selling.
So what's the real problem when something doesn't sell?
Right. Well, we've done 3 reductions, and it looks like it's under the market by $10,000 already.
Yeah, I've been there before lots of times. A lot of my clients are there right now. We've had in certain neighborhoods, in certain areas, we've had drops that nobody understands, and what that means is that there might be one or two stupid sales, and a stupid sale is something that is just a stupid buyer. The place was massively emotional. It had a 4-car garage, but a rotten house, and this guy, his whole life was about having a 4-car garage. These are stupid sales, and if we could pull some of the stupid sales out of the comps, and it still shows that this thing's underpriced, and there's been recent sales, there's nothing to tell you except that that's a very small percentage of what's going on in real estate today. Basically, if you have a property that doesn't have any negatives, remember I talked to all of you guys that negatives are greatly magnified in this market. A busy street, bad floor plan, horrible condition, lack of bathrooms, those are greatly magnified in this kind of a market, which means that they used to be 10% reductions in a good market. Now they could be 30% reductions. So if you don't have any negatives, and if you've already removed stupid sales out of the comps, and there's been recent comps, there's not a lot to tell you except, man, the only reason that something doesn't get shown is based upon price, and that should be an obvious comment to the seller. And you need to go back to his main goal and say, you know, Mr. Johnson, we have slight negatives, and the negatives are greatly magnified in this market. The comps that we've had are not very new. There might have been a recent drop there might have been a recent drop that we're not aware of. That one sale was because of the 4-bedroom car garage. There is no other activity. And then also, I hope you're looking at listings as comps. In a bad market, you guys have to look at listings as comps too. And if you have other listings that are better than yours, that's another reason why it's not getting shown. So, excellent question. I'm sorry I don't have a better answer for you, except just reduce the stupid price, man. Again. All right. And by the way, there's other ways to reduce the price that we went over last week, including the appliances, adding points, paying a year's worth of homeowners dues. There's a lot of ways that you can sugarcoat a price reduction for a seller to go ahead and make it more palatable. We went over a whole list last week. Sorry, that one is one that's troubling me. But if I look real closely at it, I know that it's got to be you're using some bad comps that really aren't comparable. There's negatives, or the whole neighborhood's taking a dump. Now I can remember a condominium complex where they were selling for $300,000, and I was always the lowest listings in there, and they still weren't selling, and they weren't selling until we got down to about $150,000, about 50% off, only because the original builder had done such a good job in selling the original complex with such amazing marketing, really sucked a lot of stupid sellers into the thing. They weren't worth what they were selling for, and boy, on the resales, everybody took a huge hit. So, especially when the bad market came. All right, good. Thanks for coming with me to all these things, guys. Give me another objection.
I've had a listing for a long time. I've had a window. It's an as-is property. A lot of things don't work, and the lady doesn't want to lower the price anymore. Now she's thinking about renting. It's own free and clear.
Okay.
It's own free and clear. It's not a short sale, so the argument you gave last week about how much it costs doesn't really apply.
The problem with as-is properties that nothing works in is that you guys have to understand that restoration is a higher price per square foot than new construction. So when you are expecting a buyer to repair everything, it's a higher price per square foot than new construction. In fact, 50% more. So if she wants to sell as is, she's going to have to do something else, and that is she's going to have to drop her price. And I got to ask you, what's her motivation for selling?
She's 80 years old, and she just wants the money in the bank. She wants to stop maintaining behemoth and get rid of it. It's 5 bedrooms, 2 baths, 100 years old, and the garage fell down.
Well, I got to tell you that, a little bit of craziness also goes into these things. I mean, somebody that's 80 years old, who has a house that's falling down, who's not listening to their professional, is